Hi, and a very good morning to you. It's June from maverickstar Observatory. In this upload we're going to be talking about, first of all, some of the data that one of our superstars in Canada, Kendall, has sent us, as you can see in front of us. And a bit later on we'll look at some of the other activities with regards to the anomalies that are taking place around the world, such as earthquakes, volcanoes, muons, CO2, etc. Before we get into that, a huge big thank you to all those people that are supporting us, and just a quick reminder to the patrons, you have only got until midday the 17th to confirm you wish to send a message out into deep space. Don't miss this opportunity, guys. This is a bucket list opportunity you can tick off and do it freely, just by getting in touch with the launch director, Carol, at ULM. And if you want a link, I'll put it down in the description. And if you want to help also support the observatory with a little bit of funding, I'll put the links down there as well. Okay, let's get on with it. So Kendall has sent us his muon data. He's also included a lot of other information, which is handy because you get to see what the weather is like whilst the muon count is taking place. As you can see, the dates that we've got there are 4 events from the 24th of May to the 15th of June, and you can see how much it fluctuates by roughly around 200 muons on average. And you'll also note that when we look at the Earth Alpha at a glance, you'll see that these muons are a lot higher than what we are receiving here in the UK and Australia, and that can only mean one thing: confirmation of a weakening intensity over Canada. And we are going to keep monitoring this event as that continues to weaken, and comparing it with the UK muons and Perth, Australia. So here we are at Pole Shift News on Earth Alpha at a glance, and as you can see, when we look at this week's readings, the atmospheric CO2 is at 438, which is a decrease by nearly 100 parts per million from the previous week. For some reason it was high. I suspect that that was because the temperatures and the early hours that the reading was taken could have led to that being high. Atmospheric oxygen, as we would expect, huge reservoir in the atmosphere of oxygen, 20.55%. So there's no concerns there. The latitude and longitude will change because, as you know, it is the positioning of the magnetic North Pole tomorrow, because it's the 17th of the month, so please come back and have a look at that. We've got radiation background at 0.016, only up by 0.001% from the week before. Again, I think the volcanoes last week was at 26, there's no change there. You've got the largest earthquake over the last 24 hours. And then we've got muons in the UK at 506, only a slight decrease there. Muons per metre square in Canada is at 1144, which is an increase, as you saw from Kendall's data, by nearly 200 or thereabouts. We've got a geomagnetic storm currently at the moment. Solar X-rays are normal, and the jet streams are unstable, as we will have a look a little bit later on in the video. But that is pretty much the rundown. The reason why I do Earth Alpha at a glance is so that you can get a quick look at the archive of what's been going on, and if you're worried about a specific event like volcanic eruptions or CO2, you can see straight off for yourself what the conditions are. So it is a real good tool, this, for looking at multiple anomalies that take place naturally on our Earth, with of course an exception from the pole reversal, because that is a rare event. Even if it's an excursion or it is a completed reversal, it is not a common event. So with the exception of the pole reversal, this is really what we should be concerned of, and as you can see, there is no real concerns with anything. If we just talk about CO2 for just 1 minute and ask ourselves the question, in order for commercial growers that have greenhouses, they have to pump in the parts per million of CO2 to get it to optimal performance to around about 1500 parts per million. Now, if optimal performance is at 1500 parts per million, which is about the same as what CO2 levels are right now in your living room, if there is a couple of people in there, that's what it will be. It don't affect you, obviously, is the first thing you know. You're not delusional, you're not thinking incoherently. But the point is this, is that if optimum performance in greenhouses for vegetation is 1500 parts per million, and the cut-off rate where we kill off biodiversity in vegetative organisms is at 200, or just even above 200, we are closer to going to an extermination of biodiversity than we are to optimum performance. We are closer to destroying all the biodiversity on our planet, and that it would only take a reduction of 200 parts per million from what it is at today. So I just want to ask the question, are we necessarily wasting our time by concentrating on CO2? And are we changing globally everything in regards to this pointlessly? I think when historians look back on this time, they're going to know that this was a heavily corrupted period of our time. That's what they're going to know, because simply they're going to ask the question, did they have common sense? Because they concerned themselves that much when it was closer to being killing off all the vegetation on this planet than it was to optimal performance. And they should have known that by the parts per million rate count being at, like it is today, 438. They're going to know, as we should know, that we are living in super corrupt times and science is being incorrectly reported, and there is a hysteria now as a result of these lies that have been told. And again, like I say before, scientists are just walking away from the field of science because, you know, they know the truth, but they also know that these people and corporations are earning a lot of money out of it, and their ears are closed on purpose to the facts and the truth. It's a very damaging time that we're living in, and you know, the one thing that is getting severely attacked is the truth related to science. And you know, it's a sad day, I think. Guys, I'm going to have a quick look at the jet streams with you, and we'll wrap it up at that for today. We've got a lot of work to do tomorrow. Obviously, we've got some processing of the SD cards out of the Trimag system and the magnetosphere sensor, and a positioning of the magnetic North Pole. So let's have a quick look at the jet streams and see what the condition is with them. So don't be too alarmed at the conditions on the southern hemisphere compared to the northern hemisphere. That is pretty much normal for this point in time on our orbit around the sun. That is because the southern hemisphere is furthest away from the sun, the northern hemisphere is closest, and that's why we are at this moment approaching maximum distance closest to the sun over in the northern hemisphere. And that is also why within a few days time we will be at the summer solstice, and that marks the highest point in time out the year where the sun rises to its maximum. That means that we are at the closest point to the sun over in the northern hemisphere, and therefore, you know, the jet streams are going to be a lot more milder than what they are on the southern hemisphere. And just to give you a quick look at that, we'll have a look at the top of the Earth, looking directly down over the jet streams. We can see first of all there is interchange with polar and subtropical. This is what is causing a lot of the problems with regards to climate, largely as a result of extra cosmic rays inbound due to the grand solar minimum shrinking the heliosphere, allowing galactic radiation in, and also a weakened magnetosphere, as you guys know, because we're going through a pole reversal and it's reduced by probably 20%. So as you can see, northern hemisphere, you know, isn't standard compared with 20 years ago. We had, you know, a nice ring of polar jet stream, then a bit further down towards the equatorial region, you know, we had around about 30 degrees subtropical jet stream. What's happening with the climate is that both the northern or the polar jet streams and the subtropical jet streams are interchanging. There is more rain in those jet streams. That's why they're becoming more sluggish. That's why they break a lot easier. and obviously that is what creates flash floods, droughts in other regions, and all those other related climate weather anomalies. Having a look over the southern hemisphere, we can see that the jet streams are much wider, which is normal for this time of the year, but the same as the northern hemisphere, we have subtropical mixing with polar jet streams. Again, this is not normal for jet stream behaviour. They should be at 60 degrees south and 60 degrees north and reverse over the northern hemisphere, but you can see widened super jet streams over the southern hemisphere. And we'll just have a quick look around the equatorial region of the Earth just to get an idea of what the conditions are quickly. Okay guys, so that's a wrap. Guys, there's a link down there if you want to help support our observatory. There's also a link there for you to go over to Universal Light Message if you're a patron, and confirm that you wish to launch a message into deep space. Again, don't lose that opportunity of a lifetime. You can immortalise at least one thing at this point in time with the current technology that's available, and that is your thoughts, and you can cast them out into the universe. Why would you miss an opportunity like that? Guys, it's been emotional. As always, look after your loved ones, and I'll be back tomorrow with the positioning of the magnetic North Pole. Link down there if you want to help support our observatory, and as always, bye for now.